On February 24, 1986, the body of Sherri Rasmussen, born February 7, 1957, was found in the apartment she shared with her husband, John Retton in Van Nuys, California, United States. She had been beaten and shot 3 times in a struggle. The Los Angeles Police Department, LAPD, initially considered the case a botched burglary and were unable to identify a suspect. On the morning of February 24, 1986, Retton left the couple's condominium on Balboa Boulevard in Van Nuys to go to work. Rasmussen was scheduled to give a motivational speech at work that day, a managerial tactic she did not feel was effective. To avoid it, she told Retton she might call in sick, using a back injury she had incurred while doing aerobics the day before. As an excuse, at 9 a.m. a neighbor noticed that the Retton's garage door was open, with no car visible. Approximately 15 minutes later, Retton made the first of several unanswered calls home. Over the course of the day, Rasmussen's sister also called without answer. At noon, 2 men, who the neighbor believed were gardeners in the compound, gave her and her husband a purse that they had found, which turned out to be Rasmussen's. A maid cleaning a nearby unit said she heard something that sounded like 2 people fighting and then something falling. At around 12:30 p.m., when Retton returned home in the evening, he found his garage door open and broken glass on the driveway. In addition, he discovered that the BMW he bought for Rasmussen as an engagement gift was missing. Because of Rasmussen's morning plans, he found it strange that she would have later gone out without letting him know. The house's answering machine had not been activated, despite both of them usually activating it when leaving the house unoccupied. Inside, Retton found Rasmussen dead on the living room floor. Shot 3 times, there were signs of a struggle that had apparently been broken over Rasmussen's head. Prior to the shooting, a bloody handprint next to the burglar alarms, panic button and a topple credenza. It appeared that someone at least had attempted to bind Rasmussen at some point. She had defensive wounds and a bruise on her face that appeared to have been inflicted by the muzzle of a gun. The gun had been fired through a quilted blanket, apparently to muffle the sound. The investigating criminalist also observed a bite mark on Rasmussen's arm and took a swab from it, although a maid in a neighboring unit reported hearing screaming and fighting. Earlier in the day, she did not recall hearing gunshots. She thought the whole event had been a domestic dispute and did not call the police. It appeared that the perpetrator had been in the process of taking electronic equipment when Rasmussen came upon them, and as a result, jewelry had been left behind and the vehicle taken as a getaway. The abandoned BMW was recovered a week later, but it yielded no new evidence. The only other item that appeared to have been taken from the home was the couple's marriage license, Rasmussen's attire, a bathrobe, nightgown and underwear, suggested she was not expecting visitors. The lead detective on the case began to consider other possibilities. After further investigation, and upon discovering that the biter and likely perpetrator was female, the detective reviewed the case and came across a report of a third-party female who had allegedly harassed the victim at her job and residence before the murder. He quickly ruled out the grieving Retton as a suspect. Retton quit his job and moved away from Los Angeles. Shortly after the murder, Rasmussen's father believed that LAPD officer Stephanie Lazarus, who was formerly in a relationship with Retton, was a prime suspect. It wasn't just any cop. Stephanie Lazarus was a well-respected, highly decorated female detective with the Los Angeles Police Department, and it wasn't just a minor crime. Detectives who re-examined the cold case files in 2009 were eventually led to Lazarus, by then herself a detective. A DNA sample from a cup she had thrown away was matched to one from a bite on Rasmussen's body that had remained in the files. Lazarus was convicted of the murder in 2012 and is serving a sentence of 27 years to life for first-degree murder at the California Institution for Women in Corona. She was charged with the murder of Sherri Rasmussen, a young nurse 23 years after the killing. The arrest of a cop was shocking news in the City of Angels. May Sherri Rasmussen continue to rest in peace, and much love and light to her family, as well as anyone else affected by this senseless tragedy.